Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a Ashe updated complete guide. So alright, so Ashe, my. In my opinion, Ashe is still the worst, by far the worst ADC in the game. Now, I say she's the worst because she basically doesn't really do too much damage. Really, she doesn't. She's really for utility with her slows, especially with her like her W slow on like the entire enemy team. Her slows on her auto attacks, especially those empowered with Q as well. Utility with the hawk shot for vision, and also to find picks with her ultimate for her team. But yeah, by herself she doesn't really do very much damage, and in my opinion she's the worst champion to pick in solo queue. But in my opinion she has the most utility out of all ADCs, maybe only comparable to Senna. Alright, but regardless, we're still going to be doing a updated complete guide on her. We have, of course, actually done a complete guide on her before. And for that, we're actually going to... I'm going to refer you guys to that guide just to check out the build and... not the build, the skills and the leveling order. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the build. So now, honestly, I played, I don't know, close to 20 matches with Ashe, not just to get footage, but mostly to test out the build. So I tested out a ton of builds. Basically, I tested out mana immune builds, and crit builds, and Blade of the Rune King builds. So basically, my 3 crit items in my crit pool are Storm Razor, Runan's Hurricane, and IE. So I would test mana immune with 2 crit items, like 2 out of those 3 crit items. I would test Bork with 2 out of those 3 crit items, and I would test just triple crit items and in different orders as well. So I done so much testing on Ashe, and basically, honestly, this is what I found to be the best build. Now, obviously, our previous Ashe complete guide, it was like a mana immune into a Solari Charge Blade sort of build, but now that build is no longer good. Because Solari Charge Blade is now not really an early game item anymore, you need to go for it a little bit later in the game, and Mana Immune is still a good item for Ashe, but just that I feel this build is just better. Now, first item, Blade of the Rune King. The main goal of the Blade of the Rune King is, firstly, the physical vamp. I found that in all of my tests for builds that don't include Blade of the Rune King, you not only do negligible damage, but you also die instantly because you have no mobility, and yeah, you're just not very threatening. People just kill you non-stop. So you really need Blade of the Rune King mainly for the sustain. Now, what else is Blade of the Rune King good for? Of course, the movement speed from the drain is very useful in terms of kiting them out. After you proc the drain, you can really easily kite people out, because most of the time, most fights starts with them chasing you, because normally, since you don't have too much damage, you wouldn't really be chasing them. So normally they're chasing you, you drain them, you slow them with your auto attacks and your passive, and then they suddenly realize, oh no, I can't catch up to the Ashe, and that's when they start running. Then the chase turns around where now you're chasing them and they're running away. So either way, we need the Blade of the Rune King for the vamp, for the drain, and also for the attack speed, because you want to get fast attack speed to proc your slows onto champions. Next up, Runan's Hurricane. So out of the 2 crit items, I found that Runan's Hurricane, while doesn't lead to the most damage, has the most utility, which is spreading your auto attacks onto 3 separate targets, which means you have slows onto 3 separate targets. Now this is of course very useful to, of course, get 3 people slowed for your team, obviously. And for the boot enchant, you don't normally go for Gluttonous Quicksilver. You normally go for either Gluttonous Greaves, you can go for that, or you can go for like defensive boots, and normally you go for stasis, but some games where you don't need stasis, you can go for Proto Belt as well for the mobility, of course. And then you ended up with the 3rd core item of Infinity Edge. So basically with Infinity Edge, it's pretty obvious what it does. Basically, first up, it gives you the huge injection of AD, because your items so far don't give you too much AD. You do get 20 AD from here, but that's not too much. So here you get 55 AD, you get another 25% crit rate, and of course your crit damage increases. But because of Ashe's passive, you don't actually get increased crit damage, but the Infinity Edge still makes Ashe do more damage from her passive So in case you guys are wondering, yes, it does make Ashe do more damage. So now I did consider Storm Razor, and I did try like Bork into Storm Razor into IE, or Bork into Storm Razor into Runan's Hurricane, but overall I still felt the best build was without the Storm Razor, which was kind of a bummer because Storm Razor is such a good item now, and I really thought Ashe could make better use of the Storm Razor. I tried out Storm Razor in so many different builds, but really what I found that really Storm Razor is not really necessary because Ashe doesn't really need to focus on damage that much. He's really way more utility based, so really this is sort of the best setup. And speaking of utility, obviously you go for Moral Reminder. Now, why would you need Sorella's Grudge when you already have so much slow with your base kit? So Moral Reminder just makes more sense. You got the more utility of the Grievous Wounds as well. And finally, you end it off with the Guardian Angel. So the Guardian Angel, of course, gives you that revive passive, which is going to be very helpful for you. And yeah, so a lot of items you can replace GA with, and a lot of items you can opt into as well. So now, the first good option you have is the Wit's End. So Ashe procs on hit really easily with her W as well as her general normal auto attacks, of course. So Wit's End is really good as an item to build if you're up against a lot of AP. Now for Ashe in specific, I wouldn't go for a Wit's End second or third item because without like Bork and without Runan's Hurricane, you really do nothing. So at earliest, I would go for it as a third item, but normally I would use this to replace the GA if it's down, or if I need MR instead of building a GA. Now the other item that you can go for, if I can find it, is actually the Black Cleaver. Now Black Cleaver might sound like a weird item to build on Ashe, but really it isn't. Because as we know, dealing damage to a champion reduces their armor by 5% for 6 seconds, which can stack up to 5 times. Now, if you didn't know, Ashe's basic attack, when it's enhanced with her Q, actually shoots 5 shots. So this instantly procs Black Cleaver, which basically means that your damage and your entire team's damage is going to go up by 25% physical damage against that target. So Black Cleaver can also be used to replace your GA. Of course, Black Cleaver gives you the health, AD, and ability haste as well, so it's a really good item for Ashe just in general. Alright, now we're going to talk about the runes. Obviously, we're going to start off with a Conqueror as our keystone because Conqueror is just the best and anybody who can take it will. Then for the second one, I actually go for weakness. Now, of course, on this slot, you could also go for Hunter Vampirism, but since we already have the Bork, I don't see the need for that. Instead, the weakness allows us to actually enhance our damage by 5% since all of our attacks and abilities slow naturally because of our passive. This allows us to increase our damage against not just from ourselves but also from our team. Of course, this ties into the utility. And of course, for the second one, you go for Hunter Titan or Bone Plating, depending on whether you want to have more burst protection or more tenacity. And lastly, we go for Mana Flow Ban because Ashe does consume quite a bit of mana, spamming her W's and her spells. So you do want to pick up that Mana Flow Ban just for, so you don't run out of mana in lane and in team fights. If you go for Mana Mean, you don't need that, of course, but without Mana Mean, you actually do need the Mana Flow Ban to actually sustain your mana throughout the game. Lastly, the spells, obviously you go for Flash and you go for Exhaust. Exhaust is pretty much the standard ADC spell at the moment, but of course you can go for Barrier as well if you so prefer. So with all that out of the way, we can move on to the gameplay itself. Alright, hi guys, so welcome back to the gameplay. Alright, so of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And any questions or queries, feel free to leave in the comments below. Of course, I will be addressing them. Alrighty, so here we have the Ashe gameplay, obviously rocking that Queen Ashe skin, and we're playing with a Sona in lane. So obviously, we're up against a Lux and a Vayne, but honestly here, we're going to see some shenanigans happening in level 1, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, this is going to be a relatively snowbally game. So I would say 19 out of 20 of games you play with Ashe will never happen like this, maybe even 99 out of 100, if you guys know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, it's not gonna be like this. So here, I'm just casually trying to take my CS. Some shenanigans happens in the river, but nothing too big, not like a huge fight breaks out. Then we realize, wait a minute, we can just shove this, get level 2, so I'm level 2 here. They're trying to get back into the lane. Lux misses the binding already, and here we can just fight. They're both still level 1. Lux procs Electrocute onto Sona, which is bad, so Sona dies. I managed to exhaust Vayne, I get the kill onto Vayne, and now it's just me and the Lux. So I realize I can keep on going, I still have a level advantage on her. She only has her root at most, so here I'm just slamming her. I tried to dodge the root, but I still get hit by it. And here I actually managed to pick up the kill onto the Lux. So that is a very strange, early double kill by me. And, the Vayne would have respawned and is making her way back to the lane. So I'm not gonna stay around and greet for the minions. Getting 2 kills is way better than picking up a minion wave. It's way better than Vayne respawning, coming back to lane and killing me at when I'm 1 HP and trying to farm minions. So either way, I hit level 3. So as I mentioned in the leveling, normally at level 3 you take another point in W. You don't generally go for your E until maybe like level 4, or something like that. Some people even go for it like level 7 or 8. Kind of depends on what you like. But I personally like to go for it at level 4. Don't want to delay it too much because it does have a lot of utility. Now we did catch a glimpse of Olaf on the minimap at the topside river, so we do want to exercise some caution and not just be too aggressive. Now of course, because we did get a double kill, we could go back, get ourselves a dagger as well as a Vamp Scepter, which means that we can be a little bit more aggressive because we do have the item. So here Olaf turns out he was on the invade. Sona hits her E, allows us to get to the area faster. And here we are going on to the Vayne, accidentally auto the Grom because Vayne was slightly out of the range. Olaf is 1 HP, Twisted Fate comes in off the rotation, Vayne is kind of 1 HP as well. I get hit by the Lux Root, unfortunately, walked straight into it and followed by the Lux E. So not the best look in the world. Vayne for some reason hiding in that bush. So she's gonna get herself caught possibly. There we go. We hit the W onto the Vayne. And here we're trying to chase down the Vayne. Vayne's 1 HP. I try to flash in for the kill, but unfortunately I get rooted by the Lux and I do die to the Lux, unfortunately. So kind of a big misplay there because the Lux shield was a little bit too big for me to overcome in my low level. As we know, Ashe doesn't do that much damage. So unfortunately we kind of mess up a little bit there and give our life over to the Lux. But yeah, if we managed to dodge the root, we still would have been fine, but we don't manage to do that either, so that's not the best look in the world. Either way, we're coming back into the lane. Olaf, as you guys can see, back in the topside river. Here, I'm out. I thought he was trying to flank from behind, so I launched my W in to check if he's there. Obviously, if he is there, it would collide into him partially, so some arrows would not fly the full distance, so we can use that to check, obviously, since we just used our E. Here I'm 1v1 against the Vayne. Vayne actually has a level advantage on me, but as you guys can see, I actually won that trade by quite a fair margin. So, actually, if you think about it, in early game, Ashe can't actually compete with Vayne. So, of course, this is because she's 0 and 1, whereas I'm 2 and 1, so I do have more items than her. But yeah, but the only difference in terms of our items is I have a dagger and she has a dagger while I have a recurve bow. So a little bit of attack speed difference I don't think is the biggest factor in the world. Either way, we do manage to crash our wave. Sona eats the Lux binding and the Lux ultimate, but fortunately she does not get one shot. Alright, so here the Infernal Dragon is up, Katarina is rotating toward it, and there is kind of a fight happening in the mid lane between Twisted Fate and the Jax. But not too much else is happening here. Olaf, we don't know where he is, so we do not want to, play too aggressively and get caught by Olaf just coming in for a surprise gang. So Olaf spotted in mid, so we do know that he is there. So it's just the two of us here. Here we catch Lux with an arrow, follow up into the Sona ultimate. We do Sona does get the kill on Lux, and here we're gonna go on the chase for Vayne. Vayne has to flash. Now you will find that Ashe is not to be underestimated, particularly in lane, because sometimes the moment you step up a little bit too far, Ashe hits her W on you, she starts auto-attacking you, and there's no way you're getting out of there unless you flash it. So here Twisted Fate comes in for the roam off his ultimate. We're just pelting him with the auto attacks. Here we exhaust the Vayne. We switch targets to Vayne. Vayne is a more valuable target, but Vayne does manage to escape. Both me and Sona are relatively low. Twisted Fate comes back in for more, and with his Rit card, and we do manage to pick up the kill onto the Twisted Fate. So a little bit of a mistake by the Twisted Fate there gives us another free kill. Olaf dies as well, and here we're just going to pick up the minion wave, and then we can recall because we have literally 0 mana. So you guys can see still with the mana flow ban, you still sort of will have mana issues, which is why mana flow ban is absolutely necessary for Ashe. Alright, so here, a little bit atypical of a Ashe, but we're 3-1-1, a relatively good start. I mean, it'll be a bit too much to ask to be like 4-0 or something. So 3-1-1 is still really, really good. So here we see no one is on the Infernal Dragon, so we're just gonna go back to farming the minions, I guess. So Here my team is having sort of a skirmish in the mid lane. Lux has rotated mid. Garen is still there. So there's 3 people mid and 1 Garen at top. So it's at worst 1v1 versus me and the Vayne. So here I launch my ult downtown. Boom, it actually hits and brings the Lux to 1 HP. So Vayne actually has rotated and gone to join the fight. Here I see Olaf chasing into our jungle, and I know that I can fight Olaf 1v1 since he's relatively low. So there we go. Here I'm going to just 1v1 the Olaf. Jax actually comes in to help out. So either way, we get the kill onto the Olaf. Here we see a relatively low HP Lux, so we're trying to go for the chase on the Lux. Unfortunately, I get baited into the gold cart into the condemn, so I do die there again. But yep, I didn't quite expect the 2 of them to be there. I thought they rotated back to mid, so that was of course my bad. But here it looks like my team possibly could try to clean up the fight. Not really, because Jax just goes in there, gets CC'd and dies. Katarina trying to clean up the fight. Ease onto the Vayne, gets condemned into the wall, gets hit by the red card from Twisted Fate, tries to finish off the Vayne and dies instead. Oh, this is turning into a little bit of a disaster. So here I've respawned. I'm making my way up there as fast as possible. Sona, who I'm on comms with, says she's going to interrupt them, and she does get the interrupt. And here I come, Ashe arrow to the face of the Twisted Fate. Here is a 3v2. I'm going to focus basically anybody. I'm trying to get the kill on the Lux, and I do, switching targets to the Vayne. She flashes, I flash to follow. With the slow, she can't get away. So Olaf coming in, so I'm gonna have to back off back to under the tower, and I do get the shutdown onto the Vayne, who apparently has managed to amass at least 3 kills ever since she was at that time where it was 0 and 1 for the Vayne. Either way, Olaf is here. I'm gonna slow him down. Ashe gets hard countered by Olaf because Olaf obviously he has the ultimate, the Ragnarok, which allows him to pretty much ignore CC, and that of course includes slow. So I cannot kite the Olaf if he does choose to chase me, and I can't chase the Olaf if he does decide to pop out to run away. Here though, we chain CC him, and he gets out with 1 HP. Now, for something very interesting to note is that he did have his ult there, so I have no idea why he didn't actually use it. So here we are winning the fight. We're on the chase for the Vayne. Olaf comes in from behind. We get the double kill onto the Vayne, and Olaf actually dies to one of our teammates. It's the Jax. So 4 members dead on the enemy team. Garen on the opposite side of the map. Perfect time to get a free tower, provided we can actually push in the minion wave. There we go. So entire enemy team is just respawning, so this pretty much gives us more than enough time to easily just pick up the first tower. Twisted Fate does pop his ult though, so not sure if he's coming up here, but if he does, it's a free kill for us because me and Sona are together, and he can kill the both of us. So we're just gonna recall, in a wide open space. So we have picked up the Runan's Hurricane as well, and for this match I'm picking up the Merc Treads because we have a Lux Binding, a Twisted Fate gold card, and as well as a Garen Silence and a Vayne Condemn. So a lot of CC that, and 2 of them are point and click, 3 of them are point and click as well. So a little bit too easy to get CC. So we want that for the tenacity. Of course, we also have the Hunter Titan for this match. So here, as you can see, you have to use your Hawk Shot as Ashe, to launch your Hawk Shot. See if see what's going on. So in this case, nothing is going on in the enemy topside jungle. So here I'm just gonna hit over to the Raptor pit to just farm up the Raptors. Nothing too much is happening at the moment. The Rift Herald is spawning in 5 seconds, so we are indeed around that area. Katarina, of all people, split pushing into top lane, runs into a wild Twisted Fate, and here we're just seeing if there's anything going on. Here we see Olaf doing his jungle. His ult is still up, unfortunately, so he won't be getting caught that easily. So either way, Irelia goes in. Here I launch, Sona launches ultimate. I launch ultimate to chase CC the Olaf. The Olaf is horrible in pressing his ultimate, so he does just get CC to death. Now, in case you guys didn't know, Olaf can actually ult when he's hit by CC to cleanse the CC, but this Olaf didn't do that. Now, he either isn't aware that he can cleanse the CC, or he thinks his ultimate is only to increase his movement speed to run at people or something, because I have seen a couple of Olafs who don't use their ultimate to cleanse CC. They just run at people with their ultimate for the movement speed. So maybe this is one of those inexperienced Olaf. I'm not sure, but he didn't really pop his ult there. Alright, so here we're just trying to kind of siege the mid tower a little bit. Olaf is back up and running, so we're just gonna back off now. Here, Olaf has his ultimate. We know that, so he can easily pop it and just run us down. So we're gonna have to back off for our own safety, so that we don't just give him another free kill. So yeah, here we're doing relatively well. We're going back, getting ourselves the BF sword. And yeah, so here we see Irelia getting caught 4v1 in the top lane. Unfortunately, a little bit overextended. On our end, we're just gonna hit back over to mid, dodging the Lux Binding and the Twisted Fate cards as well. We're just gonna clear the minion wave. In the meantime, they're getting putting down the Herald in the top lane. Vayne is rotating, Lux and Twisted Fate are on the way as well. So I launched my arrow from downtown, managed to land it on the Twisted Fate. Unfortunately, my team still dies, but here it's up to all of us, me, Katarina, and Sona to clean up the fight. Katarina, of course, one of the best champions when it comes to cleaning up fights. So she gets a triple, and I get a kill. So 4 of them dead. Yet again, only the Garen is left alive. And the only reason why this is always the case is because Garen basically has never left his lane. I haven't actually interacted with this Garen for the entire match. See, here we 4 people dead and Garen's still in his lane. This is a free inhibitor tower, so Katarina's trying to back. We're pinging her not to back. Garen, first interaction with Garen the whole match, finally shows up to the party, but we're just ignoring him. We are just going for the tower, and here we do get the tower, and now we can just go ahead and back off. And so the Mountain Dragon is actually up, which is of course the least valuable dragon, but you know, hey, a dragon is a dragon, and you know, we can take it if we want to. Here, the Lux completely out of position. I don't even have to blow my ult to get the kill. We easily just kill her instantly, because she has no mobility whatsoever. I assume she's walking toward the dragon pit to ward the dragon, but she does pay with it with her life. Can't just randomly face check. Now here, speaking of which, me and Sona again chain CC onto the Vayne. Here I go for Twisted Fate. He hits his Zhonya's. Doesn't quite matter because we're just gonna wait around and kill him. So again, it's now only Garen and Olaf left alive. Jax manages to secure the Mountain Dragon as we are picking up those kills. And here we're pinging for Baron because you know, majority of enemy team are dead, so this is a pretty free Baron. Of course, Olaf is still alive, and there is a chance that he could steal the Baron, but hopefully it's not too likely. Doesn't seem that the enemy team even knows that we're on Baron. Of course, we have the Sweeper, so no wards in the Baron pit. Dodging the acid shot from the Baron, sidestepping the acid shot, and here we secure the Baron. And we're just gonna back using the Empart recalls and pick up our Infinity Edge. So obviously at this point we got our first 3 core items, so we're gonna be really strong. Now something I didn't quite mention during the build is, you know, you only have 50% crit with this build, but you know, crit is not the most important stat for Ashe because, you know, she can't exactly crit anyway. The crits give her a stronger slow, which is of course always helpful, but is not the end all be all. So it's not, you know, of the utmost importance to you know, buy crit or something like that. But either way, as you guys can see, we are doing pretty well. 10, 2, and 10 on Ashe, by the way, on who I think is the worst champion for solo queue. Alright, so here obviously we have the Baron buff, so we do want to do some pushing. Top lane already inhibitor down, no point pushing top lane, although Irelia is there. So we kind of want to push mid or bot. Now here we're just grouping 3-man mid, Jax coming over to make it 4. Irelia still split pushing, so someone's going to have to respond to her. If not, she's just going to push all the way into the base. Nice catch by the Sona again. Katarina finishes off the kill on Twisted Fate. Same goes for the Lux. So there goes the both of them. And now it's Vayne, Garen, and Olaf versus the world. They try to go for the Irelia. I'm just focusing the tower. And we got the tower, so we're going to rotate over, see what we can do. Katarina does manage to pick up, I believe it's a triple kill. Yep, there we go, onto the entire enemy team. So there we go, there we have the game. So I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.